Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and I am also a doctoral student of psychology. Today, I wanted to go over how males act when they're around somebody that they find attractive, particularly an attractive female, okay? And also what it means. And we're going to also go into the research. The research is going to be in the description box, but I always tell y'all, never get too caught up in anything, including what I'm saying, including what another video says, even research, okay? Everything is based on so many bias. We can never rule everything completely out. So please keep that in mind and try to, in general, I would hope, be a little bit more positive about these things. I notice a lot of you guys are a little bit more negative in the comments, and to me, that shows me a signal that a lot of you guys do not feel very good about yourselves. So please keep that in mind. Don't let little things trigger you. So let's go ahead and jump right in. What are some ways that men act around a attractive woman for them, an attractive lady that they find to be someone that they want to bond with, particularly possibly in a long-term context, okay? So the very first one is increased generosity. We might even call it like more competitive helping, to which, you know, from a psychological standpoint, that he can stand out. From a biological standpoint, which I'm not going to speak to too much of because I don't study biology, they will give him the evolutionary advantage, okay? So men are more likely to donate more, give more, and provide more when that person they're benefiting is actually someone they find attractive. A lot of people realize this, but the behavioral term, some people actually call it competitive helping, where it's believed to stem from that evolutionary advantage, right? Where the male is actually signaling their status through generosity. And from a psychological perspective, they're signaling safety, right? And so those are some of the ways that men kind of show that increased generosity, okay? This research was 2015. The next one, I think a lot of people know this, but still, we're going to put this in anyways in case some of y'all don't. Research done in 2010, men actually take more physical risks around attractive women, okay? This study was about, I believe, skateboarders, right? Yes, skateboarders. Folks who, is that what it's called? Skateboarders? Folks who skateboard. They actually perform riskier tricks. I don't know if it's called tricks, I'm sorry. And they spent more time attempting those risky behaviors when observed by what they perceive as an attractive female versus a male observer. So this was, and we also saw that there was elevated testosterone. And that was very interesting. And it does show that males tend to do this more. It's a form of dominance, but it's also a form of what we describe in psychology and also biology, any sort of mating performances, right? They want to, in fact, intrigue that partner so that she can stick around and then he can continue to connect with her. That's kind of the aim of this, okay? This one is really, really interesting, but a lot of y'all, if you're in a long-term relationship, I think you guys know this, okay? I noticed this, the variance. So the third one is 2006. That was the research that we can actually see men speak in more vocal variety with particular female counterparts. In fact, some of them even speak at a higher pitch, okay? It is that they're trying to signal friendliness, attraction, and safety. And it's even more interesting. This part I'm about to say is not really part of the research, the signaling and the vocal variety is, but this part I'm going to explain next is the observation that I've seen. I have always observed that men talk in a more deeper tone among other men. I'm not sure if you've seen this, if you heard them on a business call, if you've heard them talking to other men. I noticed this, right? My dad is a great example. He's a man in business and he has quite a lot of connections. And anytime he's having like a business conversation, I notice his tone gets like a lot deeper. And my partner also is in finance. And anytime he's on a very important business call, I notice his tone is like much more deeper, more steady. Whereas with me, I can hear so much variation in his emotion and tone. Sometimes it's deeper depending on the conversation. Sometimes it's more excited. I'm seeing that variation. And I see it when I'm observing couples as well, right? Whereas particularly when they're talking more gently with a partner or more romantic, you can see that pitch kind of increase a little bit. I found that to be really interesting because I didn't even know that until I looked this up. I had a theory about it, but I never realized how realistic that was. The next one is that men actually exhibit nervous or awkward behaviors, I guess you could call it. This was 2014. We can see that some males show nervousness such as fidgeting, stuttering, when interacting with a particular female that they believe is highly attractive. And they mention this kind of as an indication of their anxiety and insecurity. And a lot of males are aware that that's how they feel. And so you can ask them if you'd like. I think this one, I don't even think this research was self-reported. I think it was comprehensive, but I could be wrong. You can look into it, 2014. And the last one, which is kind of similar to what we already discussed, but this is more of a compensation factor, so I wanted to touch on it. We have observed that men sometimes overcompensate what they're feeling may be lacking. This is their perspective, okay? I'm not saying that a man does lack. I'm saying he may feel that way. He may feel he wants to impress a particular lady, let's just say. He wants to attract her, but he feels he does not have those particular assets. So what you see is he overcompensates with some sort of boastful personality behavior or risky behavior, okay? Research was done in 2010, and we saw that the presence of an attractive woman elevates that testosterone. This is that same research, but I'm just covering it from a different angle. We can see the risk taking, but we can also see that men actually exaggerate or boast about accomplishments, or they just may want to talk about it, not even such an exaggeration way, may not even be overcompensating, but just in a way of a courting sense to engage in this particular lady. And we're seeing that overly risky behavior. And sometimes what can actually happen is we may see more reckless behavior. So that would be risky behavior that is repeated or in higher frequency. And particularly why men do this is they are trying to show in their own particular way that they can handle some of these perspectives that's going on, this environmental factor. So if he's being risky in an environmental sense, it can show that he's strong, assertive, dominant, or protective, but it can also show problem-solving sensibility, such as him being able to solve an issue. The example that I'm thinking about, which can be perceived as reckless, is let's say some sort of event happened. Maybe you guys are driving on the road, maybe you guys are going on a date, whatever, and then somebody else's car flips, unfortunately, but I've seen this, and then maybe he stops the car, he runs across traffic just to check on this person. That's a very risky position he put himself in, but he's doing it. Part of it, of course, he probably wants to help this person call the, police or whatever it is, but he could have just called in the car. But in fact, he ran across, let's say, the margin, could have been a risky behavior because he's in fact trying to show that he not only has problem-solving skills, but he's also, he doesn't let fear get to him. He's dominant. He's a leader. And so these types of personality traits, aspects, and variables can show that he's attracted to a particular female. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.